Hi guys, a little piece I wanted to do for a while, but I had to do some sort of research and stuff, so I've done all that and I've kind of got it nailed down. So I was on my way to work. Yes, Fluke Dog works for a living. On Wednesday the 23rd of January, that was this week. And when I was on my way to work, I was listening to Radio 5 Live, and they introduced a gentleman by the name of Neil Basu. I'll put his name in the description as well, and in the title. He's head of counter-terrorism policing in the UK. Now, what they were talking about essentially was they were introducing a 60-second film that was going to be shown in cinemas up and down the country about how to and when and why to report, suspicious activity with regards to terrorism in the UK. And he goes on and on. What I'll do is I'll put a link to the video, a link to the Radio 5 Live interview in the description, but the interview is part of a 3-hour morning show, so in the description I'll put a timestamp as when the interview starts and when the interview ends. It's about 9 minutes long. If you want to watch it for yourselves, you can do. I suggest you do, and then come back to me if you want in the comment section. Right. To say he was not vague probably not the right word, but he's talking about people buying knives and people hiring large equipment. What designates terrorist activity? I mean, we hire large equipment on a almost daily basis at work. I'm not sure a cement mixer is going to be used in a terrorist attack, but apparently Neil seems to think so. So I'll hold him to that. But people buying large quantities of chemicals. Now, fair enough. I'm sure my local hairdressing salon buys large quantities of chemicals on a weekly basis. But maybe they're terrorist hairdressers. You never know. Now, the thing that really stuck out during this interview is he's saying people doing anything out of the ordinary, right? And I quote what he said, right? Quote, filming police officers as they go about their everyday business. So apparently filming police officers going about their everyday business is out of the ordinary. No, they're in a public space, they're public servants, they can be filmed. And it also, strangely enough, as Neil keeps trying to mention that filming police is out of the ordinary and somewhat suspicious, that goes completely against the Association of Chief Police Officers Guidance on Public Photography, which clearly states, we must acknowledge that citizen journalism is a feature of modern life and police officers are now photographed and filmed more than ever. There it is, police guidance on public photography. Police are filmed more than ever. But apparently Neil doesn't know this because obviously he's the head of counter-terrorism policing and he doesn't know what his own guidance is on public photography. So, Neil, you're an idiot. Right. So, filming police somehow links you into the terrorism thing. So there's more suspicion here. So if you're filming police, he's somehow made the world's largest leap from filming a public servant in a public place to you being a terrorist. Okay? It's just bogus. It's not even bogus, it's lame is what it is. Utterly lame. So anyway, what I decided to do is, bearing in mind the conversation was about Islamist terrorism, and I'll come back to that a little bit later when we've gone through. So what we did was we looked up police deaths in the UK from September the 11th 2001, we all remember that, with the aeroplanes hitting buildings and buildings falling down for no reason, that one. So I looked into all the police deaths in the UK, and here is the breakdown of it, right? Now, traffic collisions, accidents, those sort of things while off duty, I've done deaths and traffic collisions and accidents while on duty, deaths from natural causes, shooting and stabbing, accidental death, and terrorism. And here is how the breakdown is. Deaths from traffic collisions and accidents while on duty, 64 police officers have died in those situations. Deaths, traffic collisions and accidents while off duty, 63 police officers have died in those situations. So they're fairly consistent with, and these were generally, if you look it up, and I'll add the link into the description so you can look it up for yourself, pretty much all of this were, well, off duty were going either to work or from work on a motorbike or in a car. So maybe they want to have a look at their driving instruction for police officers and their motorcycle instruction. Again, the on-duty ones obviously in police cars or in undercover cars or undercover motorbikes or marked motorbikes as well. So that's 64 deaths while on duty and 63 deaths while off duty involving traffic accidents and accidents in general. 37 police officers in those 18 odd years have died through natural causes. 10 officers were killed in either shootings or stabbings. So that's 10 police officers in 18 years killed in shootings or stabbings. One police officer was accidentally killed by one of his colleagues who shot his colleague to death by accident. Apparently a shotgun went off that shouldn't have gone off, and the guy died of his injuries. And that leaves us with 2 deaths left. Now I'm going to separate the two because, like I said to you earlier, about the Islamist terrorism thing. The first one was a terrorist incident in Northern Ireland in 2011 where a dissident, I believe it was a Republican group, I'm trying to find that out for definite, but it was in Northern Ireland, and a police officer died as a result of a bomb being put under his car. Now, for those of you who know Northern Ireland politics or familiar in the UK, obviously, with it, it's a sectarian thing that goes on between Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland, and it goes back into the 70s. Probably a separate video all by itself, but that's one police officer in Northern Ireland killed from terrorism in the Northern Ireland situation. So we can take that as a separate event, because we're talking about, and the context of the interview and the Radio 5 Live interview was Islamist terrorism. That was the context. So far we've only had one police officer in 18 years die in a terrorist related incident, and that police officer was killed in the Westminster attack, where a four-wheel drive was used to drive down, I think it was London Bridge or near London Bridge, ran over some pedestrians, crashed into the barriers outside Parliament, and when he was approached by a police officer who apparently was unarmed, which I find a bit surprising considering he's protecting the Houses of Parliament, they had an altercation and the police officer was stabbed to death. So basically, you end up in a situation where you've got a police officer stabbed in Westminster, in the Westminster terrorist attack, and judging by the figures, obviously he's as likely to die in a terrorist attack as he is of being accidentally shot by one of his colleagues. That's the extent of it. Because 127 other officers has died on motorbikes, cars, and in crashes, collisions and accidents while on or off duty. Now, bearing in mind that was since September the 11th, 2001. Now, since then, you've had, I think it's, if I get my figures right, I'll go over them again if I have to, but I think it was 174 civilians have died in terrorist attacks in the UK since September the 11th, 2001. Which makes it 174 times more likely for a civilian to die in a terrorist act than it is for a police officer to die in a terrorist act. Okay? And those are the facts. So, Mr. Neil Basu, if you want to make a comment below or get in touch with me and we can discuss it, and I'll record it, and you can tell me how you can possibly link filming police officers, public servants in a public place how you can link that to suspicious terrorist activity, please let me know, because, you know, I can't fathom it out, because so far, like I said, in Islamic terrorist attacks, 1 police officer has died in 18 years. So that is that. So I'll put all the links to all the sources in the description. The Radio 5 live interview I'll put in there, but again, when you click on that link, it will take you to that day's breakfast show. It's a 3-hour long show, but below that I will put in the timestamp for the 9-10 minute interview that's on there. So yeah, or is it just the politics of fear? Because the sheeple will suck that shit up. Do you know what I mean? You know, so now anytime you're out filming any public servant anywhere in the country in a public place, you're supposed to be unusual. See the way they word it? It's unusual behaviour. Well, no, it's not. And prove it, because facts don't care about your feelings. There's the facts. All the police deaths since September 11th, 2001. So obviously Neil Basu, you know, seems to think that his feelings are more important than the facts. So we'll see how that goes for him. I might give him a call, actually. Alright guys, I hope this finds you all well. Thanks for your support, it's much appreciated. And leave a comment in the section below, you know where it is. And I'll speak to you all again soon. Take care, look after yourselves.